Hey, church family, thank you for joining us for today's Daily Connection video. We are kicking off a series this week talking about living a life of loyalty and the importance of loyalty. And we're going to look at one of the most perfect pictures of loyalty that we see in the Old Testament in the book of Ruth, really one of my favorite books. My absolute favorite being Colossians, but Ruth is absolutely up there just because of the picture of the kinsman redeemer and the picture of the gospel that we see here in the Old Testament. But that's not what we're going to be looking at to begin with. Instead, we're going to be looking at this relationship between Ruth and Naomi and looking at some of the backstory that led up to that. So we're going to kick off in verses 6 through 9 today. So let's read that and then talk about it for a little bit. She and her daughter, she being Naomi, she and her daughters-in-law set out to return from the territory of Moab because she had heard in Moab that the Lord had paid attention to his people's need by providing them food. She left the place where she had been living, accompanied by her two daughters-in-law, and traveled along the road leading back to the land of Judah. Naomi said to them, "Each of you go back to your mother's home. May the Lord show kindness to you as you have shown to the dead and to me. May the Lord grant each of you rest in the house of a new husband." She kissed them, and they wept loudly. Now, it's important for us to understand the backstory here. We've got Naomi, and she and her husband at one time lived in the land of Judah. But her and her husband, Elimelech, they, because of famine, ended up moving to the land of the Moabites, and they ended up staying there. And their sons, Mahlon and Chilion, married Moabite women. And so they've lived there for quite some time, but Elimelech dies. And then before Naomi's daughter-in-laws bear children for them, Mahlon and Chilion also die. And so Naomi has lost her husband and she's lost both of her sons. It is just three widows who are sitting there. And now her daughters-in-law are still young. Again, they still have not had children. And so they are very reliant on Naomi in that moment. And so Naomi decides, she gets word that the land of Judah is no longer in famine and that the Lord has been good to them. And so she decides she is going to go back to her family, an old widow, unable to bear children. She's not going to be able to be remarried, but she's going to go there and fall at the mercy of her family and hope to be taken care of there. But she looks at her daughters-in-law and says, "Hey, look, you are young. You still have not bore children. Go back to the house of your mother. Go back there and find a new husband. Start a new life. Stay in your land, the land of the Moabites." And this is so interesting what we see happen here, because during that time it would have been very common for both of those young girls to do just that, to leave Naomi and go and be with their own families where they have comfort. Naomi, while she was their mother-in-law, she couldn't have been their mother-in-law for very long, because they had not even had children yet with her sons. And so what is going on here? Like, why, it would make the most sense for them to leave. And we know, we'll find out tomorrow, we know that one of them does. But what we see here is that somehow these two young girls have truly endured themselves to Naomi and Naomi to them. We see this faithfulness that exists between them. What we really see here is loyalty. And when Naomi tries to convince them to leave, they both weep loudly at the thought of being separated from Naomi. Well, although they have no reason to be loyal to Naomi anymore, their husbands are gone, right? Naomi cannot provide them with anything. There is no need for it. They're loyal because they love her. In the same way, we should be loyal to those that we love. That's an expectation as believers we should have, and we should be loyal to one another. Loyalty is a allegiance to or faith in someone, a person, or a thing. And so we should have loyalty to those who are believers around us. We should be endured to them in that way. As I talk about loyalty and having loyalty with other people, I'm sure that you begin to think about a person who is loyal to you, or perhaps you are loyal to them. It's probably one of the closest relationships that you have. So there's a couple of things that I want you to do, kind of based on what we've looked at here with loyalty and based on that person. One, I want you to take a moment and define loyalty for yourself. Sit down with a pen and a piece of paper, pencil, piece of paper, or maybe type it on your phone. Take a moment, and how would you define loyalty? And try to go more than just one sentence. Try to give characteristics of a loyal person, right? And then as you do that, like I said, you probably are already thinking of someone who is loyal to you. Maybe as you write those characteristics of a loyal person, as you write down your definition of loyalty, you are really describing someone who's been loyal to you. After you've done that, take a moment today and call that person who has been loyal to you and tell them thank you for their loyalty. That's something special. Tell them thank you for their loyalty. Thank you for loving them, honestly loving them the way that Christ has loved us. I hope you'll take a moment to do that today. As you do it, we want you to know that we love you and we're praying for you.